I'm just posting up more evidence of my drunken, abusive narc ex, since he and his sociopathic wife are denying this reality. These are just notes from my phone. The titles, they all correspond with the notes that we're about to read. Um, and they're mostly from 2022 and 2023. There's like one, I think, from 2024. I was so used to it, I think I stopped taking notes at a certain point. Um, Day 10 plus of the long phone calls from a sociopathic slut. He's finally closing the door. When I confronted him about his daughter, he kept hearing his phone sex, and I finally mentioned what's happening to his friend, who immediately confronted him and caused a huge fight where he tried to bow up, and I called out all his BS. Not that interesting considering the whole story. Ex drunk and violent, Wednesday night, 6/14/2023. Haven't made notes in a while, though he's been drinking as much, if not more than always, but tonight he kicked me in the stomach. So that was pretty shocking and noteworthy. He was drunk on liquor that I bought for him, like an idiot, and he didn't pass out fast enough. Happened at 1:30 a.m. Judge actually made a note. She's like, this says it was last modified on June 15th, 2023, but it says here that you wrote it on 6/14/2023. Yeah, that's a 1 hour difference. I wrote it at 1 a.m., and my brain thought it was 6:14, but it was actually 6:15. But I think that's why she didn't care. November, when I worked late, he drank. He was supposed to be hanging out with our daughter. When she asked him if they could go to bed, he said, fuck you, to our 8-year-old. Tonight, he's been yelling and stomping around because he's missing $100 from his drawer. I kept trying to get him to calmly go through what he spent to make sure he didn't spend it himself, but he's convinced he wouldn't have touched it himself, so he was raging, screaming and hitting walls, and throwing the contents of his wallet around. It took him a while for him to calm down. August 19th drunkenness. He spent the last 3 nights shit-faced. Tonight he was supposed to cook. Instead, he stayed out on the porch drinking with his friend, and I made dinner like always. Yesterday, he spent whatever money he had at the bar and came stumbling home, waking our daughter up. He was so loud. I think her nerves kept her up for hours afterwards. My poor baby. The other one, we actually found the money. Actually, we accounted for it. He was right. It was 8/16 drunkenness. Got home late from working to a drunk ex with a new whiskey bottle that's now 2/3 full. One of those big gallon-sized ones his dad buys him from Costco. So he was home alone with her, and he decided to get shit-faced. So unresponsible, it's scary. When I spoke to our daughter this morning as I was getting her dressed and ready for school, she said he was outside drinking and smoking all night, and she wanted to review her math with him, but he was too sloppy to do so. No big surprise there. I literally could not leave him overnight with our daughter because I'd come home to, I'll post a picture, like burnt food and her awake while he was passed out. Mid-February, ex bad behavior from a text draft to my mom that never went through. Just some documentation for future needs. With the money I gave my ex yesterday, I thought specifically for our cable bill. He had 190 when I checked last night. Tonight, after 5+ hours at the bar, he only has $40 left. Granted, he did buy us a pizza, so probably $20 for himself, the child and I, and none of our bills were paid. Winter of drunken discontent, March 2nd. Tonight he got physical. He hit me on my head. Not super hard, but it was still surprising while he was on the phone with his friend. He had been drinking all day, and while our daughter and I got a ride from our friends to her baseball practice, X threw me under the bus when they came to pick her up, and a friend's husband said, maybe it's not Kat's problem. Maybe you're just a bad dad who doesn't want to be a father. My ex threatened to kick his ass, then went to a clamper meeting and got drunk all day. That plus the violent beginning put him in a scary mood by the time he came home at night. My daughter had a sleepover. I accidentally burnt the pizza. He drove me to the store on the way back to the bar, and he was so stupid, drunk, angry, aggressive, and confused that he tried to pick a fight. Said he always wants to hit me because of my mouth, and then he tried to physically push me out of his truck. Finally, he jumped out and walked to the bar, and I took the truck back to the store and back home. This is after months of him drinking excessively and not working. One job since November. He is so far behind in rent and bills, and he actually treats me like shit. So what is the actual point of keeping him around? And I blame him for losing my car/Jeep because he's a pussy. I think he would actually I think friend's husband would actually kick his ass in a fight because he's a scrapper and he is so slow and drunk and blah, blah, blah. Also, his drinking scared my daughter's friend, and even our daughter wanted me to hide his guns. Possible future family court notes, October 17th. It was a full week of his ridiculousness, although instead of staying out until 3 or 4 a.m. every night, he came home pretty regularly between 10 and 11:30 this week, which was because he's either loud and boisterous or he's loud and angry, and either way he woke our daughter up each time. He had one 3 a.m. night where he showed up driving someone else's car. It looked like a girl's or woman's vehicle from the knickknacks I could see inside. Yesterday I had to work and I came home to a filthy house. He didn't feed the pets or fill their water bowls, so the dog had gotten into the trash and it was strewn all about the house. There were shoe prints of ketchup slash sauce trails where he had walked through the mess but didn't clean it up. He made dinner and left crumbs and food bits all over the counters and the sinks filled with dirty, unrinsed dishes, pots, and pans. Our daughter is sick, and I told him he needed to get her more medicine before nighttime. Instead, I hear her coughing and moaning in her sleep, and I find the empty bottles that didn't have enough medicine in the first place to get them through the day and night. That's all. Oh, except I forgot to mention the emptied liquor and wine bottles also strewn all about the house. And here's a couple pictures of what he would try to feed our kid when I wasn't home to cook. Yeah, this is what I lived with.